Hello and bonjour. Welcome. Bienvenue. Today I'm making a tutorial for my colleagues in the sciences to show an easy way to perform data parsing. Now I know we all love data, and the more data points the better, but there may be situations where a data set is inappropriately fine-grained, and it may pose some challenges in how to handle it. And in these situations, it would be useful to be able to simply select every 100th data point or every 1000th data point to have a simpler data set to handle. Now, it's possible to do this using the offset function in an Excel, but I recently learned a much easier way using the filter function that I'd like to share with you. So to begin, let's consider this very large data set for the first order decrease in concentration over time. Let's say someone set the fluorimeter to take a reading every few seconds, and then they left it running overnight. So now we have 10,000 data points, and let's say we don't want that many. So what I recommend doing is adding a column to the left of the data set, and this will show the table entry number of the data point. Now, we're not going to number every one of these data points. We saw in another tutorial how to do this quickly by just filling down a series down this column, adding one value every time up to 10,000. Make this blue to distinguish it from our data set, and we can jump down with control down arrow to the bottom to see that we've numbered every entry in the data table. I like to start with the value 0 only because I like to keep the 0 time point. So now I'm going to set up a cell where I will enter the interval of the parsing, or the number of data points that I'm going to skip. Let's say 100. Now I like to set this up so that I know where to enter a new value each time so that I can reuse the spreadsheet with as much flexibility as possible. And I think this is best practice in Excel. So now to create the parsed data set. First, I'm copy the column headers. Control C, Control V. Now I'm going to use the filter function at the heart of this parsing procedure. So first I go to where my parsed time data set would start, and I type equals filter, open bracket, and I select the array that I want to filter, namely the time data set starting at B2 and going all the way down to B10,002, comma. Now I want to enter a criterion for deciding whether to include a data point from that array or not. And this is where the entry column comes into play. If I want to include every 100th data point, well, that would mean the entry number would be perfectly divisible by 100. So I can write a condition where the entry number in array A2 down to A10,002, and I'm going to make the column absolute, divided by the absolute reference to the value in cell E1, is equal to the truncated integer value of the same division. Copy, paste, close bracket to finish the filter function, and enter. Now you can see that although I entered the formula into cell F2, the output has spilled down to cell 102. Now if I want to do the same thing for the concentration values, I want to filter by the same criterion, but in column C. And the reason I left the column number relative is so that I can simply drag this over to generate a new formula in cell G2 that spills down as far as necessary according to the same filter condition. So now I can select every 100 data points or 300 or 600 just to adjust the size of the parsed data set. And you might want to make a graph like I've done here in order to visualize the parsed data set. So here I've plotted the parsed data set in red points over top of the complete data set, which is represented by a fine blue line through all the data points. So every 1,000th data point leaves me with a set of 10, but if I take every 100 data points, I have a set of 100. So once I'm happy with the parsing, let's say taking a data point every 30 minutes, I can now select the parsed data set. So Control Shift down arrow, right arrow, Control C to copy, and I can go to a new sheet. This is just a place for pasting, where I can paste the values only. So by pasting the values only and not the formulas, I now have a new set of raw data to work with in any way that I want that is much less fine-grained than the original.